Yeah, so ever since I was very young, like I'm not sure how young, but I must have been like one of my first Christmases that I could like ask what I wanted for Christmas. I've asked for like Bibles, and I've always been quite, nobody really pushed me into it, but I've always been quite like orientated around like God and Jesus, and like the stories always quite interested me. But I think as I grew up and like kind of had a bit more of my own mind, I realized that I didn't just want to be like thinking about that, I wanted to act on it. I told my parents that I wanted to get baptized, and they were good with the idea. They'd always been a bit like, we'll wait until she decides, but I'd really been asking since I was like 9 years old. But then like I guess they thought I was old enough to really know that I wanted to be baptized and to know that I wanted to like begin my journey. And God's always been quite important to me, and he's always like led me to do things that like, you know, like be the like better person and like the best version of myself. So yeah.
Fantastic. Now, and within that, I'm just going to state, you said you've got several Bibles, Elliot. Any favourite Bible stories that kind of that are special to you?
I like the beginning story, and I like Mark. But my favorite books of the Bible are Proverbs and the Psalms. I think they're my favorite. I think like the ideas in them are very good, but I like Genesis. Yeah, I read a lot into Genesis and Mark as well, especially when I was getting baptized. Yeah, I've always, even when I was younger, I think the reason that I wanted to be a Christian is I saw how it united people and just it improved people's lives. Especially, I get that there's a dark side to social media, but there's also a really powerful side where there's a lot of Christians showing how like sharing their testimonies and stuff like that. And there's obviously, we don't really get them in the UK, but there's church camps and stuff. And I think it's just wonderful to see how that like changes people, how being a Christian, like it improves people's lives and it makes them happier. Yeah.
Tell me about the day itself.
Well, we obviously arrived at the church and it was a normal service. And then, well, obviously godparents aren't like a need, but I had my auntie and my uncle, not biologically, but they're like basically my auntie and my uncle, and I had them come up with me. And it was really, honestly, it just felt like when I got baptized, it kind of felt like being given like a warm hug. That's like the best way I can explain it. Like it felt like I was being welcomed into a bigger part of something. And the way that we got to stand up with also like the other couple that was getting baptized, like that was like really special because it was almost like we were in union. Yeah.
What prompted yourself to be?
Yeah, so I've lived in East Lothian all of my life, bar going up to uni in Edinburgh, and we've settled in or around Aberlady for just under 20 years. I was baptised as a baby, but I've never professed my faith. I used to run the Brownie unit in Aberlady, and it was really important to us as Brownie leaders to take the girls to the particular poignant events of the year, such as Remembrance and things like that. But for me, the desire to profess my faith has come from Ellie. This is the truth. I'm not sure whether it's something I would have done. Certainly at this stage, I think it might have been something that I would have done further down the line. But when Ellie started, and it's been an enduring theme throughout her life, which I guess has reignited the flame a bit. And when she was very adamant, she's wanted to be baptised. When I spoke with Liz and we talked about how we could help support Ellie in that journey, Liz asked me about my own faith. I didn't want to take the day away from Ellie. I felt it was really important that it was her day, given she was being baptised and professing her faith on the same day. It was so incredibly important to her. But I guess showing her Christian values in action, Ellie said she would like me to be part of that. So we made the decision together that we would do the classes, the two of us. And Liz came round, and I have to say, Ellie knows more about the Bible than I do. That is absolutely, completely true. She shows an interest in it. I think Liz was quite taken aback when Ellie came down with her Bible passages highlighted. I don't have anything like that at all, but I enjoyed the conversations with Liz and dipping into Mark, get my toe back in, I guess, a little bit in terms of the Bible readings.
Fantastic. And so going back to you, Ellie, in terms of what difference do you think it makes being a Christian in the world today?
I think that being a Christian, it brings more love and like kindness, and like if you're really following God's word and like what he's saying, like he's not demanding you to do things. He's just like he's really like showing like he wants you to do this for the best version of you, and it just brings more like kindness into your life. I feel less lost and like I have a guide, and it just brings more peace, yeah.
And how is it being a Christian at school? I'm conscious that that not everyone's a Christian. In a place like school, how does it feel about being someone that professes a Christian faith there?
I feel like it's good because not everybody, I don't actually really have any friends who are Christians, but my faith has kind of led them to be like, oh, I kind of like the idea of that. But at school, it gives me more like strength. Like if I'm having a tough day at school, I'll just like, God will be there with me. Or if I'm like going through a test, he'll be there with me. And my school, they aren't necessarily a Christian school, but they do kind of highlight, we have like services and stuff like that for Christmas and Easter and things like that.
And what about what's next in terms of for yourself? In terms of you make that profession, how do you carry on or grow as a Christian? What do you think? What's right for you?
I think continue to read God's word and pray. I pray every night and really try and align with the values of, I feel like everybody could be a bit kinder and a bit more considerate to others. And I feel like even I could work on that, and just going to church more as well. That's quite important to me. I think there's so many ways that I could like grow into like being more of a Christian and like the best I could be. Yeah.
What about yourself, Alison?
What I've really enjoyed about being part of the church so far is the community. I think we both have felt very welcomed, and as a family we felt extremely welcomed into the church, and I'd like to grow that and build on that and see what other parts of that Christian community I could serve. Get into the habit of going to church a bit more, which I think we've been doing not bad on so far, but to do more of that and get to know more of how it works in this area, and see if there's any more that I could do to help.